Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so today I have Patrick Lang on the line. He's founder and CEO at Certainty Management and also host of a show on Voice America, which is new. It's recently launched, and we're definitely going to talk about that. So, hey, Patrick, first, just want to say welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, Adam. Thanks.
Okay, Patrick. So I'm excited to get into Certainty Management, of course, your firm. We'll talk about the new radio show. Congrats on that. And of course, we will talk about the new book that you'll be launching with Mission Matters. And just for all the audience, just so you know, this will be the first of a two-part interview that I'll be doing with Patrick. So today we're going to skim the surface a little bit on the book, but we'll bring him back to do a deep dive once the book is live. But we'll start this episode, Patrick, the way that we start them all with our Mission Matters Minute. So, Patrick, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Patrick, what mission matters to you?
Well, we are by trade a cost reduction firm. And so our entire focus is to help increase profitability for our clients. We use the mantra profitability, protection, and purpose because we help increase our profitability through our cost reduction work, through our deep discount benefits, et cetera, et cetera. But we also use what we do to help raise funding for nonprofits. We realize we could do more than just make an income. We can make a difference. So we can literally raise unlimited zero-cost funding for any organization in need. So if we have a mission that matters, it's to help strengthen our clients and help strengthen our communities in the process.
It's great. Love bringing mission-based entrepreneurs on the show to share why they do what they do, how they're doing it, and really what we can all learn from it so that we can all benefit and grow together. So again, great to have you on. So I want to go a little bit further back in your career to start us off. Where did the idea of entrepreneurship or being a business owner, where did that start for you?
Well, I actually grew up in a family business. My parents were entrepreneurs for a long time. Spent some time in network marketing or actually Amway distributors years and years ago and had a fairly successful career with that long before it was even well known. They eventually started a franchise that they built and grew all over the country, had franchisees overseas as well.
Wow.
And so I grew up in that business as a child and as a teenager and got to kind of be a fly on the wall and watch my parents go through the struggles and the triumphs of owning their own business.
Yeah. When did you start with Amway? I'm just so curious. I have a funny story for you.
I didn't ever do it myself personally, but my parents were in it probably in the 70s. I mean, it was...
Yeah, I'm a big Amway fan. I remember that was one of my first really, I would say, exposures to other business people. And I was really young. I mean, I was in seventh grade, and I remember my parents were they were approached to see if they wanted an opportunity, and they're like, "Adam, do you want to do this?" And I was like, "I'm in. Come on!" So I remember selling all of my parents' friends and everybody else different Amway products, and I was getting paid in obviously. The distributorship was not under my name. It was under my parents' supervision and all the way it's supposed to be. But I remember making my first little coins with Amway. So I have a big affection for that company and the leaders within it. I mean, it's just great people.
Well, they do or did a really great job of building a sales force, right? Of inspiring people and helping them dream the dream and so forth. They did a lot of things well. I think everybody's had good and bad experiences with being invited to a pool party or a barbecue and finding out it's an Amway presentation. But there's a lot of good things that came out of that business, and they made many millionaires. So they're still one of the largest, most successful direct sales organizations in America. I don't personally do anything with them, never really have, but my parents did some 50 years ago. So fast forwarding.
So fast forwarding into your career as an entrepreneur a bit, and obviously with the benefit of hindsight, right now there's a lot of a lot of transition going on, right? So some people are accidental entrepreneurs because maybe their previous source of income isn't there anymore, or maybe some people are finally taking that leap and to go out there and they want to go out there and do something on their own. So obviously, a lot of transition going on. What kind of things with the benefit of hindsight would you say to that next group of entrepreneurs that's going out there and really trying to stake their claim? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, our show we just launched that you mentioned, Finding Certainty, it focuses on two main pillars and in effect answer this question. The first is that small businesses and entrepreneurs need to be willing to evolve. They need to be willing to think outside the box and consider new technologies and new relationships. You're not going to get anywhere if you're stuck in a rut, or if you're closed-minded. And so that's the first thing. I mean, there's some phenomenal technologies today that can automate your marketing and can outsource your the typical work and time-consuming things that you can pay someone a minimum wage to. Find a virtual assistant that can help with that. There's things that you can do to make it much more likely that you'll succeed at business today. And the second thing is you have to work with others. You have to link arms. And I'm a firm believer we need to work together more in our country. There's we spend way too much time and energy focused on our differences, but there are a lot of things we have in common. We all agree that we want small business to succeed, right? We want nonprofits to thrive. We want our kids to be safe at school. And so if we can think outside the box and be willing to change and evolve and grow and work together to get there, we can accomplish some amazing things to increase the likelihood that when someone goes into business, they actually succeed at business.
Well said. And while we're on your radio show, I want to go a little bit further there. So Finding Certainty on Voice America. Tell me a little bit more about the vision for your show. I believe it's recently launched, yes?
It is. We just had our first premiere episode last Friday.
Oh, come on. Congrats. How does it feel?
I think it was fantastic. Actually, the sound engineer, when we were done, said it was one of the best first shows he's ever heard. It made me feel good to hear. He said that usually people stumble and they're nervous, and I've been interviewing people and managing teams and running sales meetings and so forth for 30 years. So it's a pretty easy transition for me, but I felt like I have a lot to learn. I'm sure they'll continue to get better, but we had a good time. So,
well, lucky you. My first episode was terrible. It's still out there. I interviewed. I was so scared. I interviewed the other co-founder here, Chirag. I was like, Chirag, you're the first one. I don't know how to do this. We're going. And he was a good sport. He's like, all right, we're doing it.
It always helps to interview a friend, right? They're going to cut you some slack. Let's get back into
the vision for the show. You mentioned the two pillars, but let's go a little bit further for the concept. So tell us a little bit more about how you plan to evolve the show.
Yeah, the show came about because I was a guest on another host show. His name is Frank Hellring. He runs a Voice America show called Business Buzz. And when we were done, he said, your message of empowering small businesses and helping give back to nonprofits in the process, he said, I think that message would resonate. He said, I think you'd be good on radio for one thing, but I think that message is really something people need. They're looking for answers. They're looking for certainty, which is our catchphrase. Our company is Certainty Management. And so he said, I can get you an audience with the general manager if you want. Let's see if they like the concept. And long story short, they did. We got a unanimous approval from the board, and we decided to put together the show because small businesses are in crisis. We've lost 50% of our nonprofits have gone out of business. Wow. There's a third of the restaurants in New York have closed their doors. I mean, the list goes on. And yet small business is not small. We're 50% of the GNP. We're 85% of the hiring out there. So we're a massive force. It's underrepresented in Washington. We need help. And so we wanted to put together a show that hopefully help provide some resources, some insights, some experience, a lot of it learned from the hard knocks of entrepreneurship, and help shorten the learning curve for businesses out there. That's ultimately what it comes down to. We want to help more of them to be successful, because if we can strengthen them, we strengthen our communities, we strengthen our nation.
And I feel like you hosting the show, not just because of, your talent in running meetings and things like that for 30 years, but you have a unique vantage point because you're working with small businesses through certainty management like every day. So you're seeing, what's going on, especially and also on the nonprofit side, as you mentioned. So you're seeing what's going on. So you have maybe a unique pulse over and above what you can read in the headlines of what's really going on in the market. Am I off on this?
No, you're absolutely right. Part of the vision of Voice America is to have real businesses running real talk shows. And so they want to have people who are in the trenches, right? People who are really out there doing, not just talking about something, but actually talking about what they're doing. And so, I grew up in a family business, as I said. I've owned my own companies, two different consulting firms, done my fair share of sales and marketing, been in management within corporate America and small business. The variety that I've had throughout my life has given me a fair amount of insight, right? I've made a lot of mistakes. I've had some phenomenal mentors. All of that combines to give me some unique insights. We've got some really extraordinary guests coming on the show that are far more talented than me, but I'm going to open up their brains and get them to share. And it's, I think it's going to be a really valuable resource, and it's going to be a lot of fun too. I mean, it's fun interviewing people and sharing.
So now that you're on the other side of the mic, what would you tell to those that are out there watching this that have always considered it, but just have never taken that step or that leap? And I don't mean it has to be a radio show. It could be a Facebook Live. It could be a podcast. It could be whatever. But for that person that has that message or that thing that they want to get out there, but just haven't really taken that step, like what kind of things would you tell them?
Well, first and foremost, it's all about your listener much more than it is about you. I asked Frank on our premiere episode Friday, I said, I asked him about his 1 minute elevator speech. What does he say when he meets a new person? And I loved his response because he said, it's all about them. He says, I want to get to know them. So I ask a lot more questions than I do talk about myself. He says, we have to remember we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. We have to remember that it's all about relationships. And so that's the first thing, is really be interested in other people and learn how to be a good listener, right? Learn how to ask good questions. I struggle with that because I like to talk, right? And so I think anybody in sales, we tend to forget that equation of 2 ears and 1 mouth. But if we can remember that and do a better job at being a more active listener, I think that's a really good start.
So I want to jump around here a bit. Let's get into the book. We'll spend a little bit of time on that here today. So I'm really excited to have you in upcoming Mission Matters Business Leaders release. When I saw your background, when I saw what you've done and how you're helping business owners, I think I had a lot of the same inclinations that Voice of America did when they discovered you. They're like, oh my gosh, like this is perfect. Like we have to get this message out there. We have to amplify this story and these words. So that was my initial feel. So first off, for the book, what's your concept for the writing in the chapter that you'll submit?
So this, but the chapter that I wrote is focused on accountability. I think it's one of the most important principles for any business owner, any parent, any significant other, any employee. We talk about how it's easy to fall into what we call a victim cycle or a victim mindset, where we're pointing fingers, we're passing the buck, we're even just paralyzed by saying it's not my job, or I don't understand, I don't know what to do. These are all victim patterns, and it's really essential that we avoid that. And they're going to happen, right? We all do it at times, and we get put in situations where we feel out of control or we feel overwhelmed. But I talk about how one of the most important questions we can ask is, what else can I do? Right. Where we see a problem, right? We have to own it. We have to do it. I actually learned this principle from a book called The Oz Principle. I was taught by a group called Partnerships in Leadership, who are absolutely fantastic. But so I can't take credit for it, but I've applied it in my own career and seen extraordinary results from this simple yet powerful principle of asking, what else can I do? And sometimes it's you need help. What you need to do is turn to someone else who's better at that area, or who has more experience. That's not being a victim. that's actually empowering to admit you don't have all the answers and you need a hand. So that's what I talk about in the chapter. I talk about really hard experience I went through with an employer, and I talk about just some of the lessons I've learned throughout my life that have further cemented or further highlighted that principle of accountability.
Yeah. And I think we'll pause there on that one, because as I mentioned, we've probably given too much, but as I mentioned to the audience, we'll be bringing Patrick back on the show after the book is live, because yes, we do sell books and we want you to pick up a copy. So we'll bring Patrick back on, and we'll also do a deep dive further into his writing and concepts that he submitted to the book and to the upcoming book series. So again, TBD on that one. Let's get into certainty management. So you mentioned cost reduction firm, but let's go further. So tell us a little bit more about the firm.
Sure. So we originally were a cost reduction provider in one specific space. We work specifically in imaging contracts. These are your printer contracts, your copiers, your scanners. Mm-hmm. Sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry, right? But business equipment is this multi-billion-dollar arena there's no real checks or balances. It's an unregulated industry. And so we know from years of experience that most customers are being overcharged. They're paying significantly more than they have to, and we know how to fix that. And so our core product, the company was started about 10 years ago. And that's all we did was we analyzed printer and copier contracts over the last since 2013, over the last 10 years. Us and our partner in that space, company named Nuclo Group, we've seen over $240 million of hardware contracts influenced. Yeah. We average 30 to 60% savings for our customers. We can literally look at their existing.
Let's not glance over. That's significant. Did you say 30%?
30 to 60%. Yeah. Wow. We can literally look at their contract and cut it in half in most cases.
Wow.
And it blows their mind. It blows their mind. So
yeah, my mind's blown in. And how's that? And that's just based on the inefficiency of it all, or like how's that possible? Like, how does that work?
It's a number of things. It really comes down to three things. We know what to look for and what to change in their contract. There's usually a lot of fluff. There's terms and conditions that can be changed. There's addendums that can be added. So we know what to change. Yeah. We also know who to go to and how to ask for what we need. We work with over 400 vendors and manufacturers in this space. They know who we are. They know that we know what they know. And so it changes the conversation completely. They don't try to play games with us. It's not even what I call negotiation, because all the cards are on the table. Yeah. Lastly, we have the collective buying power of all of our clientele. We have public companies and large universities and so forth, law firms and hospitals, and the list goes on. But collectively, we have a very big footprint. And so we qualify for promotions and discounts and pricing tiers and so forth that most clients can't get on their own. Doesn't matter how big they are. You could be a public company, but you plus all of our other clients will always be larger. And so it's those three things. It's knowing what to change, who to go to, and having that collective leverage or buying power that makes the difference. And so that's where we cut our teeth, but we've expanded since there. But that is really where we started as a cost reduction firm, focused in that one area alone.
So tell me about the expansion and kind of how this evolved.
Well, it's funny. I was laughing with one of my partners about this yesterday, because we used to wear it like a badge of pride that we do one thing and we do it really well.
Yeah.
And even when customers ask us, because, you just save a customer $200,000 or something, the first question out of their mouth is, can you help me in any of these other areas? Can you help me with my insurance or my
That's when you're doing good work, though, is when they say, hey, can you help me with this? Or can you help me with something else?
Our entire business has come from referrals because of that exact fact. We do zero advertising to speak of, but it's all been word of mouth. And so for a long time, though, we said, this is the only thing we do. And finally we said, why are we doing this? There's great companies out there we could partner with and provide additional services. And so we started expanding, and we brought on cost reduction in a number of other areas, business areas. We help clients recover payroll taxes through the Employee Retention Tax Credit. We help customers. We can go back and do a 3-year audit on their expenses and help them recover funds that way. We can renegotiate ongoing prices in their business bills, their personal bills. We have a wholesale travel division. The list goes on, but it's been really smart and a really enjoyable process because we just feel like we're offering our clients so much more value now. Also creates additional revenue streams, some of which are residual, which is, not back to the Amway conversation. I mean, who doesn't want residual income, right? But,
of course.
And so it's been a good move for us, and we feel like it's been truly a win-win for us, our vendors, and win-win-win, most of all for the clients.
Where did this idea or this focus to work with nonprofits, like how did that come about?
It's a really great question. We, we've always wanted to have our own social impact, affect our communities. We felt like we were doing that through our cost reduction. We've served nonprofits from a cost reduction standpoint.
For sure.
But we were sitting at I can remember the day, we were sitting at a table in a cafe up in the mountains, Rocky Mountains, looking out over Salt Lake Valley and up in Utah. And we were with the development director for a nonprofit named Operation Underground Railroad. Fantastic organization. They help combat child sex trafficking and slavery, and they're just amazing. But we were talking to him about how we could lower their costs and put some money back in their pockets. And he said, it was him who said, I don't think you're even scratching the surface of what you could do for nonprofits.
Wow.
He said, you could use what you're doing to help raise funding for nonprofits. The hairs were standing up on my arm. I'm telling you, as we were talking, because I believe it was inspired. I feel like it was given to us, right? And our whole Certainty Partners program, which is what we call it, evolved out of that conversation to where now we come in, we do work for nonprofits, we donate a portion of the earnings back to them. If they refer us to a board member, for example, or a donor, we do our work for them. We donate a portion, as much as 50%, back to the nonprofit. And we encourage the donor to match our donation. So it could literally be 100% of our earnings on a job that gets channeled or directed to the nonprofit. Now, this is a new program for us. I wish I could say we've been doing it for 10 years. We have hundreds of examples, but it's a new program that is getting a lot of feedback. And we're talking to some of the largest nonprofits in America about how we can literally raise them unlimited zero-cost funding, and getting a lot of positive press, a lot of feedback. People are very excited about it, and we're pretty excited about it too. So,
man, that is exciting. And if you look at the possibility of that, and what's interesting is sometimes an idea, like I like how you kind of some of the theme that you've been weaving through this entire interview is the idea of being able to evolve or to adjust as an entrepreneur,
right.
Not just for different like economic environment things, but also just to add value, like to think about your core mission and what it is and how you choose to add value. So the growth out of which, by the way, I love the idea that you said we do one thing and we do one thing great. I think that's a good thing, because many go the opposite route and they try to do many things, and it maybe not always the best on those many things. So if you can master one thing and then branch out, to me, that's always my preference. But now that you continue to branch out and continue to find different ways to add value, I just think it's exciting. I think it's exciting to see what happens next, especially working with these nonprofits.
Yeah, it's I started to say how I wish we could say we've been doing this for 10 years and it's a proven model. But what's encouraging is that it is founded in work that we've done for many, many years. We know that it works.
Yeah.
It's not a question of, will this work or not? It's based on a proven model. We know we can come into an organization, cut their costs. It's at zero out-of-pocket cost to them. There's no upfront costs, no out-of-pocket costs. We're paid out of the savings. And they literally don't even have to change vendors. So there's zero downside to these customers. And so it's this brilliant model, not to not to toot our own horn, it wasn't our idea, but
Yeah.
but it's just this brilliant model, because see, most cost reduction comes at a cost. People have to cut out payroll programs, or God forbid, people. With ours, we call it no downside cost reduction, because they don't have to pay anything up front, anything out of pocket. They don't have to switch vendors.
Right.
In most cases, they come out of it with an updated fleet of devices or an updated relationship, better terms and conditions, more money on their bottom line. There's just literally zero downside, and there's zero chance of it going wrong, because they already have these relationships. Right? All we're doing is getting them better pricing, better terms, and educating them a little bit on how it could be working better for them. So we've never had a customer that was upset at us, or had a bad experience. That's why we get so many referrals. Yeah, it's kind of a perfect storm when it comes to business. We have no inventory, we don't have overhead, we just have happy customers, and so it's kind of crazy, to be honest.
What are some of the, or I should say, what are the types of companies or firms that get the most value out of working with you and your team? I mean, whether it's size or industry, is this only for enterprise? You mentioned publicly traded, or middle market, or is a small business fit in this equation as well? Like, how does that work?
Well, it does. With the imaging technology contracts, the larger the company, the better. Mid and large organizations, because the more devices they have, the bigger the contract, the more we can do. But a lot of what we do is really ideal and really focused on the small to mid-sized companies. Our cost reduction is great for them, right? We have a benefits division where I can provide deep discount benefits for 1099s and gig workers and sole proprietors, or small businesses with 5, 10, 20 employees. There's a huge problem in America where many, about 50 million about 50 million Americans have no insurance, right? Or they're underinsured. It's not because they don't want it, it's because they can't afford it. The average income is about $3,600 a month in America, and the average family insurance policy is $1,200. How do they pay for that, right? So we have options that can give them unlimited access to a physician, $10 copays for less than $100 a month. And I have a mental health plan. It's $30 a month that they can have as many counseling appointments as they need, zero deductible. That's a big need in America today, especially coming out of COVID. And so we've negotiated these programs that are affordable, that are streamlined, that are simple, they're robust. And it's one of the ways that we're, again, creating more certainty in our customers' lives. It's absolutely fantastic. We're very excited about that side of the business. And we're just trying to make a difference. We realize we could do more than make income. We could make a difference. We could do more than do business. We could do some good. That's what we're trying to do. And it's working. So
it's great. It's a great story, and one that I'm happy to bring to my audience. A lot going on. Of course, new book you're launching with us, new radio show with Voice of America, helping business owners, your nonprofit program that you're also working through. I mean, I have to ask, what's next? I mean, what's next for you? What's next for the company?
Well, we're doing a lot, right? We're getting the word out better and better. When we just worked in imaging contracts, it was all word of mouth. It's a fairly complex process, right?
Yeah.
It takes some time. We have to get multiple bids. We work with different vendors. It can be a long process to close those jobs. With the other services that we're providing, like the business and personal cost reduction, the benefits and these other things, there's a very large market for it. We can do it very quickly, creating residuals and other things like that are a benefit to us, a benefit to them. And so our company's evolving into a company where we want to get the word out, not just on a word of mouth basis, one at a time, but to the masses, because we have services now that can help every American out there. We have clients across the US and Canada, but we can literally help every one of them, not just those bigger organizations that have a contract that's, for their printers and copiers, and we can help them save $1 million. That's a much smaller niche, or a much smaller segment in the market than benefits that even a part-time employee on minimum wage could afford, right? that is a massive market, and there's a massive need out there for it. And so in that sense, our business is evolving, just being able to offer more to more people. It's good for them. It's good for us. It's good for the communities. And so I guess in that sense, we're expanding our vision, expanding our reach, and expanding our offerings in a way that I think can really do some good. And so, it's all good. Onward and upward, as I like to say.
Fantastic. And if somebody is watching this, Patrick, and they want to learn more and to follow up, what's the best way for them to connect with you and your team?
So you can go to our radio channel if you'd like, certaintylive.com or findingcertainty.live. Either one works. Our website is certaintyteam.com, TEAM as in Mary. You can go there and learn about all our offerings and reach out to us anytime. There's our contact info on there. You can call us at 888-684-3122 if you'd like to speak to a real person. And we're happy to answer any questions, hop on Zoom or whatever we can do to help.
Fantastic. And for the audience, we'll put all that information in the show notes so that you can just click on it on the website and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters or engaging in an episode, we're all about bringing on entrepreneurs, executives, and experts and having them share their vision, their motivation, their mission, why they do what they do, how they're doing it, what we all learn from it, and how we can all benefit, right? And grow together. If that's the type of information or content that sounds interesting or exciting to you, hit that subscribe button because we have many more mission-based individuals just like Patrick coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Patrick, thanks again for coming on the show. It really has been a pleasure.
My pleasure, Adam. I will say this: when I was invited to be in Mission Matters, I was honored. I appreciate that, but I've been really impressed with the entire process, your team, the technology you have, just the thought that's gone into this. It gives you, I think, giving authors the opportunity to publish, be a part of something as respected as Mission Matters. It's an honor. So I appreciate you having me a part of it, and looking forward to the book coming out. So
awesome. We appreciate you.
Thanks, my friend.